On today's Locked On Thunder podcast, we're going to get you set for the game against the LA Lakers, but also a ton of trade rumors from the Indiana Pacers to Ben Simmons and the Sixers. And it's a Friday edition of Stock Watch. All of that and more is coming up on today's Locked On Thunder on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every single day.
You are Locked On Thunder, your daily Oklahoma City Thunder podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Let's get it going on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I am your host, Rylan Stiles. You can follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. It's at RYLAN_STILES. You can follow the show on Twitter at LOThunderPod and also email the show, LOThunderPod@gmail.com. Call into the show 405-362-7128. On today's show, brought to you by TrueBill, we'll dive into a Friday edition of Stock Watch. The Pacers are set for a rebuild. Ben Simmons might be moved sooner rather than later, and the Thunder look to win their third straight game of the season and third straight over the LA Clippers tonight in the Paycom Center. The show again is brought to you by TrueBill. TrueBill is a new app that saves you money by helping you identify and stop paying for subscriptions that you do not want or need any longer, and can even negotiate better deals for the subscriptions that you would like to keep. So it's a very, very great product. And again, I'm Rylan Stiles. Follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. Also, of course, thunderousintentions.com and this podcast every single day. Now, you're going to hear me twice today because we're going to do this podcast now about the rebuilds for the Pacers and the trading away of Ben Simmons for the 76ers, plus a game preview and stock watch. And then we'll come back tonight after the game's over and recap this game. And then we'll be back Sunday whenever the Thunder take on the Mavericks and recap that game as well. So the Pacers are finally going to rebuild. They're finally going to tear it down and rebuild. And they're thinking about trading Sabonis and Myles Turner. Now, the language of the report said or, as in like they're going to pick one to keep Sabonis or Turner and trade the other. And it would be interesting to see which one that they choose to keep and which one that they choose to trade, or if that report was just kind of a throwaway or, and they actually trade both. Who knows what's going to happen here with the Pacers. For the Thunder's perspective, I think that when any team and any player gets put on the chopping block, on the trading block, you're going to see Thunder fans go crazy. You're going to see, those trade idea articles go crazy with the ideas for the Thunder being involved because they have so much draft capital and they have so many assets in the draft to make trades for. But there's a few problems with this idea in this version. So the first problem is that the Thunder do not have anything tangible to give besides draft picks. And I talked to our good pal Tony East of Locked On Pacers. Would the Pacers want just draft picks, or do you have to include some tangible talent right now? And he said that the Pacers are likely looking for actual talent that's already in the NBA right now. And then the draft compensation almost comes secondary to that. And if that's the case, it goes back to what we said earlier in the week. The Thunder don't have sweeteners. And it's why you should be rooting for Darius Bazley. It's why you should be rooting for Theo Maledon. It's why you should be rooting for those middling players to succeed, because when they succeed, it's that not only help the Thunder as a team, but it helps them trade for better pieces. Because with Bazley's frame, with Bazley's leaping ability, with Bazley's defensive ability, if he can just become an average or above average player offensively, that's enough of a sweetener to talk somebody into this 23-year-old kid, Darius Bazley, or 21-year-old kid, however old Darius Bazley is right now, 21 years old. That's enough, along with your draft capital, to make a blockbuster move. Because, hey, we can sell our fan base on this Bazley guy. Look at his highlights. He's a nice dunker. He's a great rebounder, great shot blocker now, elite shot blocker for his position. And that's your tangible piece, along with what's in the mystery box of all these draft picks. What could come of these draft picks moving forward? But until you have that sweetener, until you got at least two Splenda packets, it's going to be tough to make moves, because the most valuable draft picks that the Thunder own are their own picks. And the Thunder are not in a position yet to trade their own picks away. They're just not. They have not hit on enough players to trade away their own picks at how extremely valuable that those are going to be. moving forward. So it makes trading for a player hard right now, despite having all this draft capital. Now, I will say, I would love Sabonis to be back in Oklahoma City. Of course, everyone loves the Paul George trade. At the time, I was saying, oh man, I wish that they could have kept Sabonis somehow. Sabonis is awesome. And I think that he would really fit with Oklahoma City and be really good in Oklahoma City. I think that he'd like to come back here in general. And I think that you can like really build something with him long term. Again, the problem is it doesn't seem as though the Pacers want to do this just for draft picks. It doesn't seem as though the Pacers want to negotiate with a team that can only give them draft picks when it comes to trading away one of their bigs. And so you're just kind of stuck. And there's also the argument of, hey, the Thunder are not ready yet to make a move. They're not ready yet to dive into those waters and get somebody that can improve this team. And I understand that they're probably not going to be ready until like 2023 to do something like this. On the contrary, though, when you're thinking about trading away picks that aren't your own, right? You're trading away the Clippers picks. You're trading away the Suns picks. You're trading away the Rockets picks. You're trading away picks that are not the Thunder's own picks. When you're thinking about doing that, right? What's the best player you can get for picks that project to be in the middle of the first round at best? At best, it'll be the middle of the first round. Likely towards the tail end of the first round. Sabonis and Turner are probably the guys that's going to be at best going to get you those middling first round picks and those late picks. So on one hand, this might be the peak of the value of those picks. But on the other hand, just if you keep holding on and you keep kicking the can down the line, you can keep banking on eventually the Clippers are going to fall apart, hopefully, for the Thunder's sake of these draft picks. The Suns are going to fade away, hopefully, for the Thunder. Again, not in general, but just for the Thunder, that they fade away and that pick becomes more valuable. And then you just think that the Rockets might not figure it out, right? And they might not get it right, even though I do like what Stone's been doing with the Rockets. So it's a kind of tale of two thoughts there and a story of that scenario. And for me, I think that I lean more towards it's not that time yet. They're not ready to do that yet. But if they did trade those Clippers picks for Sabonis, I'd be shocked that the Pacers would want to do that. And also, though, I'd understand it. It's an explainable move. And at the end of the day, that's what the GM's job is to do, right? To make moves that are easily explainable and that easily make sense and justifiable. I do not think that anything will happen, though. I do not think that the Thunder will get involved in this or get Sabonis or Turner. But I understand both sides. I understand if you're somebody who does not want them to trade for either player, and I understand if you want them to trade for either player. The Pacers, though, the big impact of this is not trading for Sabonis or trading for Turner, because I just outlined how that doesn't really make a lot of sense right now for the Thunder. It's the fact that the Pacers are now joining in this tank fight. And, you look around the NBA and the Pistons are tanking, the Magic are tanking, the Pelicans without Zion, and who knows if Zion comes back this year. David Griffin has stayed true that he will, but it might be too little too late whenever he does come back, because he's got to get cleared to play. He's got to get back into basketball shape. And he's got to gel with his teammates and gel on the floor. That's 3 huge hurdles to clear, and we're already nearing Christmas. And their record is 7-20, a game worse than the Thunder in terms of the win category. The Rockets are taking despite this winning streak. The Rockets are probably going to finish in that area the Thunder did last year after they had a strong first half and then eventually tailed off dramatically in the second half, and they finish in the tanking standings about the same way the Thunder do. The Spurs can go either way, but that's at 6, and so the Pacers can easily now climb the Spurs, and they're now going to move up to the top 6. And then what if the Rockets do keep winning? And now you've got the Pacers at 5, and you have everything in front of the Pacers. I think that in general, it shouldn't bother the Thunder that another team's in the tanking fray. The Thunder have kind of given themselves a cushion, so to say. Again, you look at this reverse standing in the same way you look at the standing in general for the title, and this time you look at it for the worst team in the NBA. The Thunder have higher ground right now, and they should be able to keep pace with this and stay in the top 4, top 3 of the reverse standings. But it's just another team that you have to battle with that are going to fade away. I will say, you should be thankful for Sam Presti. You should be thankful for Clay Bennett and his ownership group, because what the Pacers have done makes no sense. You go hire Rick Carlisle, you go draft a 24-year-old rookie, and now, before Christmas, you're saying, okay, we're done. Don't want to compete anymore. Don't want to try anymore. And a big reason of that, again, from our good friend over at Locked On Pacers, Tony East, is that the ownership has been unwilling to do this. That the front office understood a long time ago, hey, we need to rebuild. And that you would assume they've talked to Carlisle and said the same thing to him before he even got hired. So it's not on the coaches, it's not on the GM. It's that ownership refused to allow them to rebuild and regroup and to reload, so to say, their talent well. And now that fans aren't showing up, and so there's not really any risk to trade off players, according to Tony East, now the ownership has signed off on it. And so now this is why you see the wheels get put in motion after you go hire Rick Carlisle, after you go draft a 24-year-old rookie with no upside that can't really bring you anything long-term, although he's a really good player, Chris Duarte. It's just a weird fit for a team who's going to go into a rebuild to draft a 24-year-old that really has a low ceiling on his ability. And so this is where whenever you hear people in Oklahoma City talking about Sam Presti and talking about this ownership group of how important it is that they are in line with each other and how awesome it is, this is a tangible example of what the other side of the coin looks like. And so you should be happy that the Thunder are doing what's best for the franchise and not kind of trying to piece things together last second with not a true direction, not a true plan. Coming up, though, we're going to talk about our good friends over at Ben Simmons and the 76ers, who are in, again, the midst of this standoff and trade scenario. And a lot of you have asked for Ben Simmons in the comment sections on YouTube. So we're going to break that down as we get some brand new news on Ben Simmons, which is rare. Most of the news is regurgitating old stuff. This time it's brand new. Also, of course, a preview of the Lakers game tonight and Stock Watch on a Friday. But first, I want to say right now, my good friends over at TrueBill. TrueBill is incredible, folks. Do you know why free trials renew without your consent and why they're even a thing? It's because it's a business scam to get you out of your money. Do not let these greedy corporations pocket your money. Download TrueBill to get complete control over your subscriptions, folks. This is very important. TrueBill is the new app that allows you to identify and stop paying for subscriptions you do not need, want, or simply forgot about. On average, people save $720 per year on TrueBill because companies make subscriptions hard to cancel. TrueBill makes it incredibly simple. Just link your account and TrueBill will cancel your unwanted subscriptions at one tap. And your TrueBill concierge is there when you need them to cancel unwarranted subscriptions. So do not wait. Do not hesitate. Go right now because TrueBill saves you money. I love TrueBill because they are everyone's been there before, right? You sign up for a product. You want a quick trial of it. You just want to see what it's all about. And then you forget that you even signed up. And then you forget to turn off your auto renew. And then all of a sudden, you look at your bank statement the next month and you've been charged for 50 million apps that you don't even use or even forgot that they were a thing. TrueBill helps you in that way. They have over 2 million users and they save them over $100 million every single year. So do not fall for subscription scams. Start canceling today at TrueBill.com/LockedOnNBA. That's right, TrueBill.com/LockedOnNBA to save thousands a year. TrueBill.com/LockedOnNBA. We are back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I am your host, Rylan Stiles. You can follow me on Twitter at Rylan_Stiles. I want to thank you for making Locked On Thunder your first listen every single day, every single morning. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. And for your second listen, go check out the Locked On Bets podcast. They're making you money there with a free betting podcast to get all your sports betting in general. Now, Ben Simmons, the saga rolls on, right? We've been hearing about Ben Simmons for so long. It seems like every day there's a Ben Simmons story, and it's the same exact news over and over and over again. Well, today, that cycle finally broke. Today, the Sixers have made it known publicly. The timeline is accelerated, and they're going to trade Ben Simmons pretty soon. It could happen in a matter of days. Most likely happen after the December 15th deadline, of course. That, if you don't know, the date of December 15th is significant because if you've signed a contract over the last year, you can now be moved. In the last offseason, you can now be moved, including trades and things like that. You can now be traded again on December 15th. So that's a big deal within the NBA. And of course, we'll see how that goes. And there's on December 15th also, by the way, just for a quick Thunder aside, on December 15th, Kenrich Williams' contract is fully guaranteed. So obviously, he's going to be on the roster on December 15th. So congratulations to Kenny Hustle, who has gotten himself a guaranteed deal. But I do want to say with Ben Simmons, the reports are out there that it's going to probably be a 3-team, 4-team trade. And they're doing this to try to facilitate themselves to get a, quote, top 25 player, unquote. Hey, everyone has a top 25 player list. And I think it'd be fun if we all just in the comment section right now, while you're listening to the podcast, doing what you're doing, type up your top 25. Type them up. What players are in your top 25? And let's see if the Sixers get a player from our top 25 lists. Because the NBA is at such a great point right now where there's just so much talent in this league. There's just so many players who are tantalizing and are incredible at what they do, that genuinely we can have a top 25 list, all of us, that have different names on it at every level, right? And that's where the sport is in great hands, but it's also where this quote from this report about the 76ers is kind of irrelevant, because we all have different ideas of who's a top 25 player in the league and who makes that final cutoff. And so if they trade for my 25th guy, he might be your 28th guy or 29th guy or 40th guy. Like, this league is so deep in talent. The bottom of that top 25, which is what you're going to get for Ben Simmons, is so interchangeable. It's unbelievable. But the inclusion of the report that it's going to be a 3 or 4 team deal likely to help facilitate that has piqued a lot of Thunder fans' interest. Now, before we continue, why is this happening? Number one, for some reason, Daryl Morey finally now believes that Dame is not leaving Portland. Despite all summer long that being the stance, but despite all season long that being the stance, something in Daryl Morey's mind finally clicked today. All right, Portland's not trading Damian Lillard, so let's just go ahead and make this happen, right? So that's number one. Number two, don't freak out. SGA is not going to be involved. You're going to see reports out there, and then they already have had reports out there that this is one report, quote, internally, the Sixers have discussed Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as a guy that they would want, end quote. Internally, right? Of course. If all 29 other GMs are not internally saying, I'd really like to have SGA right now, I'd really like to have SGA on my team. If that's not happening by all 29 other GMs, they're fools. SGA is a player you absolutely want. But that does not mean that they've called Sam Presti and they have a framework in line to get SGA off the Thunder. That's not what that means. But it's a sneaky way to report something. It's a sneaky way to leak something to where they get you interactions, they get you clicks, they get you followers, and you didn't really say anything. I would hope 29 GMs want SGA, because that just means that you're doing your job and evaluating talent and saying, hey, that's someone that should be on our team. That's who we're looking for. That's the caliber of player we want, right? So there's no reason to believe right now that SGA is involved in any of these deals, first of all. And of course, the Dame thing started all this. But how can the Thunder be involved in this scenario? Look, I don't think they're going to trade SGA, so that takes one of their avenues to get involved out of this scenario. I don't think they really want anything, that they have anything others will want. They do have the cap space to take on salary and make it easier that way. And so this is where the Thunder could be involved. And it's still unlikely. It's highly unlikely that the Thunder are that third or fourth team. However, when you move a guy like Ben Simmons, and you're likely also going to move a guy like CJ McCollum in this deal, and, like someone of that ilk, when these top names start getting passed around, chaos ensues. Absolute, utter chaos. And so the Thunder, with their draft capital, and with some of their draft picks that are first-round picks, but probably not going to convert to a first-round pick, and some of the ways that they can creatively protect picks, and some of the ways that they can creatively package picks, plus having a guy like Derek Favors, having somebody you can just kind of easily throw in for money and things like that, and Gabriel Deck, you can just easily throw in for money that doesn't really hurt you long-term for the team that's going to get them. The Thunder could be a team that hop into the fray and swoop in there and get a good player. Go back to last year. James Harden saga drags and drags and drags and drags. Then boom, here it is. It's happening. Brooklyn got James Harden. And then the trade changes 4 or 5 times. And then all of a sudden, the Cavs end up with Jared Allen. And like all of a sudden, the Cavs just out of nowhere trade some first-round pick to somebody. We still don't even know where all this is going at this point. It has not been cleared up that way. It actually has. I'm just joking. But of course, the day it happened, it was like boom, boom, boom. Here's 4 or 5 tweets in a row that we've got a moving part over here. Where in the world is Victor Oladipo going? How did Caris LeVert get involved? And then all of a sudden, the Cavs end up with Jared Allen. And so Allen is now a part of their core long-term and a part of what they're building and a part of why him and Mobley and Laurie Marketing and of course, Colin Sexton, whenever he's healthy, and Darius Garland are all looking so good. A lot of that is due to Allen, who they just gave $100 million to. Like, they are in love with Allen right now, and they got him just because of chaos. And the Thunder can be that team in a 4, 5, 6 team deal that ends up getting Ben Simmons somewhere else. I think that's the most likely scenario for the Thunder to get involved. And that's the most likely scenario for the Thunder to have anything to do with this trade, is that it's chaos and they jump in, get a guy that they want, throw away a random first-round pick that's not really that valuable, and maybe move some money around or take on some money to make it happen as well. We'll see if that ends up happening. We'll see when this is actually over, and I know that we all cannot wait for Ben Simmons to simply be on another team and stop worrying about it. What you should always worry about, though, is how to get your next box of Built Bars, because Built Bars, they're incredible. It's the holiday season. It's the gift-giving season. Grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better yet than a candy bar, it's Built Bar. It's filled with holiday goodness, rich and delicious flavors, covered in chocolate, amazing low calorie, low sugar, low carb, low fat, high in protein. You get the best of both worlds like Hannah Montana, delicious and healthy. So many flavors from cherry, mint brownie, double chocolate, cookies and cream, my personal favorite, or peanut butter brownie. Built Bar gives you that extra fuel, so it does provide you a burst of energy, no matter if you're sitting there trying to bust down those mall doors and battle all the shoppers, or just standing in line patiently, what feels like an endless line at those shopping malls right now. Built Bar can give you that extra something to get you going, so throw it in your jacket, in your purse, in your backpack. You never know when you're going to need it. Folks, let me tell you something. We're lucky enough to get sent Built Bars all the time, and they truly do give me energy. They truly do fill me up, and they taste great. And so whenever I've got to go broadcast these Division II basketball games out there, and we're playing double headers. We got the women going at 5:30, the men going at 6, and I've got to talk the whole time. I do need that pick-me-up after the women's game ends before we transition to the men's game, and Built Bars are there for me in my broadcasting bag right whenever I need them to pick me back up and let me have this energy for the second game. They work like a charm. They taste like a candy bar, but they are a great protein bar for you. So make sure you go check them out at BuiltBar.com and use the code LOCKEDON. Locked15 will get you 15% off your next order. Locked15 at BuiltBar.com will get you 15% off of your next order. Want to see right now, we're good friends over at BetOnline.ag. BetOnline is your best betting option. It has all of your props, odds, and lines than ever before. As football season continues with the playoffs, BetOnline remains your number one spot for sport action this year. Head over to the new updated website. Sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our code LOCKEDON and receive your bonus from basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC. Right up into your favorite Vegas casino games. Do not wait to take advantage of these amazing offers for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the best and fast way to bet on all of your sport action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Again, BetOnline.ag. Sign up today. Locked On will get you a 50% welcome bonus. Promo code Locked On will get you a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline.ag. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, we're back on the Locked On Thunder podcast, on the Locked On Podcast Network, your teams every day. I want to tell you right now, thank you for making Locked On Thunder your first listen every single morning, every single day. We're here for you talking Thunder basketball. And tonight, they play the Lakers. LeBron is probable, which will be his first time playing in Oklahoma City in front of fans since 2019. AD is questionable. Kendrick Nunn is out. Jay Huff is out. Trevor Ariza, Thunder legend, is out. And then Vit is recalled, and so he's active for this game. But Aaron Wiggins is also out with the blue in the G League assignment. The Thunder coming off of a rest day and 2 straight wins. The Lakers coming off the second leg of a back-to-back and a loss to Memphis. What to watch for tonight? Can Bazley continue his great game he had against Toronto, where he was just awesome? Go back and listen to the post-game podcast from Wednesday, where we just praise Bazley over and over again. Does SGA play with that same swagger and emotion that he does whenever he plays these LA teams, especially the Lakers, that we saw him last game whenever he hit that dagger in the Staples Center, just saying, I'm that guy. Can he still play with that energy and emotion that we've seen from him after an emotional game Wednesday for him? And then Lou Dort being aggressive and driving and being able to create for himself down low as a scorer against a kind of bigger team. Of course, obviously the Lakers are a bigger team, but also an older team that you might be able to exploit there. And then the veteran trio off the bench, because the Lakers lost this game yesterday because of their bench. LeBron was in attack mode. Russ was in attack mode. Their starters were in attack mode, and they wanted that win. You could tell that they really, really wanted it. But then the bench came in, and things leveled out, and they actually ended up losing the game to Memphis. So can the veteran trio of Favors, Williams, and Muscala off the bench turn this game and win this game for the Thunder? Bet of the day is Lakers -4. They're very desperate. I think they're going to win this game by 5 or more. And then the Thunder Moneyball pick is Lou Dort, who I think will knock down a ton of triples in this game. Now, we're going to go ahead and save Stock Watch for a later podcast, so I can get this out to you quickly. And then tonight, we'll be back to recap this game against the LA Lakers and what it all means for the Thunder after they play the Lakers and maybe go 3-0 against the Lakers and win the season series already before the calendar hits Christmas Day. So it'll be a lot of fun. Tune in tonight on Locked On Thunder. Follow me on Twitter at @Rel_Styles. And until tonight, be good and be good to one another.